I just finished watching The Vampire Diaries, season 4, episode 6, which is when Stefan and Elena break up, and it was emotional, but I want to talk about it because I've been thinking about talking about their relationships for a while, the way between Damon, Stefan and Elena. I wanted to talk about it because it's very well written, the story about what the characters think that they feel, but the underlying psychological motivations that drive them. It's just very well written. But what I really want to talk about is so in the beginning, Damon was an absolute douchebag. This is just spoilers for The Vampire Diaries, you haven't seen it, but I want to talk about it, so spoilers all the way through, I'm not going to hold back. I'm going to talk about character arcs and changes in relationships between the three of them, because that's one of the main dramas in the show. And so at first Damon was an absolute douche and everyone liked him. The writers didn't hold back on making Damon an absolute abusive bastard at the beginning. They wanted you to hate him, and at first, I was like, when I watched it for the first time when I was like 13, I didn't really see how fucking wrong it was. But now that I'm 19, I've been seeing all of these characters' struggles, like Caroline and her insecurity, and what a healthy relationship looks like. And Damon has grown since season 1 to be a compassionate, good-hearted man. That's debatable. He still has his love, he still has his humanity, but he's accepted the parts of him that are dark. He's accepted that he's a vampire, that he's a murderous killer, and he's not guilty about that because he's accepted who he is, and that makes him able to accept Elena for who she is when she turns into a vampire. See, Stefan is a murderous killer that tries to be good, but he's a bit of a problem drinker, and whenever he drinks another drop of human blood, because he's on the animal blood, if he drinks a drop of human blood, he will he will turn into a ripper and he'll lose control, like an alcoholic. It's basically explaining what an alcoholic is, just in vampire blood terms. And he flies off the handle, and when he was a human, he was so compassionate, and the original Bennett Witch explained it the best. You have, when there was a scene between them when Stefan first turned, when he said, "This doesn't feel like a curse, this is a gift, I'm stronger, I'm faster, this is not a curse." But then the original Bennett Witch said, "You have a heart that's pure, I sense that about you, this will become a curse." And she was right. And he became so guilty and mourning for all the people that he killed, but he couldn't help himself because that's his nature, because he's a vampire. And he didn't accept who he was, and he was just so hateful. He hated himself so much. And Damon, on the other hand, learned to control it. He learned to control his bloodlust because he drank. But Stefan completely went cold turkey, did not drink from humans, and he evidently flew off the handle again and again and again. And though he's decided to accept... No. See, that's debatable. There was never really a moment in the show so far where Stefan is like, okay, I accept myself, I'm a monster, like, I do bad things, but I can also accept myself for the person that I was. I still have that humanity within me. There was never a moment that Stefan did that. So as far as I know, Stefan hasn't accepted himself for who he is. But Damon, on the other hand, has, and he drinks, and he knows he's bad, and he doesn't deny it. People tell him he's a dick, and he knows he's a dick, and I admire that about him, because he doesn't care about what people think. He knows he's bad, and he embraces that, and he doesn't fight his basic nature. He doesn't feel so guilty about that part of him, that true nature that he can't control, like Stefan does. And so this is why the relationship with Elena and Damon works, and why Elena and Stefan eventually broke up, because Stefan and Elena never accepted Stefan for his true nature, because Stefan always tried to be someone that he wasn't. He tried to be a good person by drinking animal blood and not human blood, but he was denying his true nature, and that eventually bit him in the ass, and he'd just go back to the way he was. And Elena never accepted him for his true nature. She never accepted him fully for who he is, because Stefan is a vampire, and she can't do anything about that. So, and it goes vice versa. When Elena turned into a vampire, Stefan, he didn't accept her for who she was. They had a scene, Damon and Stefan, where they're discussing getting the cure for vampirism for Elena, and they're discussing Stefan's motivations behind that. And Damon is like, and it's supposed to be selfless, right? Like, Stefan is like, I want her to have a human life and live out her life as a human and have kids and stuff. And partly that's true, but there was no denying that, and they didn't deny it, that there was also a selfish reason behind it, that Stefan couldn't be with this new version of Elena, this vampire that she'd become, because he didn't accept her as this new version of herself, as the true nature of a vampire that likes to kill and hunt people, and the darkness and the guilt that comes with that when you're compassionate, when you have compassion as your humanity. And Stefan didn't accept her, and Elena didn't accept him, and that's exactly why this relationship wouldn't work. And I saw it in the beginning, and maybe it's because it's a second time through and I understand more now, but when I was younger, I never thought so deeply into this. Like, I didn't see what the writers were trying to do. I was just like, oh, Damon's so hot, and Stefan and Elena, I want them to be together. But I didn't see all of the deep stuff behind it, and what healthy relationships be. And so I know, because I watched till season 6 last time, I never finished it, I never got to season 8 last time, and I know that Damon and Elena got together eventually, and this is why their relationship is going to work, because Damon has accepted himself for who he is, he's accepted his true nature, and that makes him able to accept others for their true nature. Elena, for her vampirism. He even says so himself in that scene where they're discussing why Stefan wants the cure. So this is Damon talking to Stefan. It's not exact quotes, but you don't accept her for her vampirism, and you can't be with this new version of her, but I can. I accept both versions of her, and that's exactly what Damon said. And I mean, it really sums up exactly, because these writers are fucking amazing. Like, they plant the ideas and they make it subtle, but that so the audience can see it, and then they can confirm it with speech, with conversations. And that's why Elena and Damon are going to work, because Damon accepts himself for who he is, so he can accept Elena for who she is. Elena is still struggling with it because she's a newbie, but I hope that though she couldn't accept Stefan for who he was, his true nature as a vampire, that she'll accept who she is in the future, and then be able to love Damon for who he is truly. And there was a moment, and in a season back or something, where Elena said, I finally accept you for who she is, like subtly, like not directly like that, but that's the moment that happened. And she accepted Damon for who he was completely, but she hadn't accepted Stefan at that point. And I was sitting there like, you can't be with someone that you haven't accepted fully. Like, you can't love all of them, you can't love them truly if you don't accept parts of them. And she'd accepted Damon for who he was, while she was still trying to get Stefan to be someone who he wasn't. And that's why the relationship with Damon and Elena is going to work. And I'm so passionate about this because I've been through some not so healthy relationships in the past, and I've just been watching this show and I love it so much. It was my favourite show then, it's my favourite show now. And I can see the deeper meaning in everything now because I'm older and I understand things. And it's beautiful, and I am healing. So I know why healthy relationships and accepting yourself for who you are, and it's just very like related to the shadows that I'm working through right now. So yes, okay. And I think it's interesting to note that Stefan was the one that broke up with Elena. There was a moment in the show where Elena was struggling with knowing who to pick, Damon or Stefan, because she was in love with both of them, but Stefan freed himself and he's the one that broke up with her, and she just accepted it and she didn't fight it, and I think that's beautiful character development because she knew that she couldn't string him along anymore, and she just let it happen because she cared for him and she was willing to let him go, and he was willing to let her be with someone that is better for her. Originally he thought he was better for her, but then when he was a Ripper, he understood why Damon was better for her, and he said that himself, like, when I was a Ripper, I understood why you liked Damon and why you had feelings for him. And it's because now that I'm thinking about it now that I'm deciphering that line, like right now, he loses control too easily, and he can't drink in moderation, and he doesn't accept himself. He's too broody and guilty, and Damon does, and he accepts himself is the bottom line, and he is not a Ripper because he can control himself. Yesterday I got an angel number 18 repeated, and I looked it up, and 18 means that if you're not at peace with yourself, then it's time to address that, because that will affect future endeavors positively. That there are lessons to be learned, and the lesson that I recently learned is that I don't really believe in myself, and I can't really do shadow work right here while I'm on holiday and I don't have any personal space. So, but then I think it's significant that I watched the show today and learned this lesson. You know, I think there's something there. And both of the videos, the first two videos, were ending in 3-3. So I think why I love the show so much, and when I did back then, was because I found the whole blood thing sexy, and that's the whole hunter thing, and I am very I don't know how much I should say of this in the video, but I don't feel good about who I am and what I like, and watching them just be animalistic and free and do whatever they like to do, that's one of the allure of the show. It's just I love the hunt and the blood, and I hate that about myself. Not to say I'm like actually like fuck, This is all metaphorical, okay? Know that. Anyway, when I was younger, I liked the allure, the sex, the fucking, it was so dangerous, and I just loved it, you know, and I love it now. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I loved it back then too, because even though I didn't know what it meant at the time, even though I didn't have the like conscious knowledge that I do now about healthy relationships and insecurity and whatnot and all the things I've learned, I still, maybe it spoke to me on a psychological level. Maybe it spoke to me in a way that I didn't know how to express at the time. It just touched parts of me that I didn't consciously know yet. They're just so. Damon was always my favourite character by far, because number one, he's hot, but number two, it's more than just his smirks and his easygoing charisma. He was compassionate, but I think I just admired his confidence. Yeah. Also, I had a dream last night. The light is fluctuating because the window's behind me, but I had a dream last night where I went back to school and my school days weren't pleasant. And it's because I just had so much insecurity. And I took out my hate on everyone else. I was like, it's the students, it's the teachers, I hate them all, but it's really... Anyway. It's significant that I had that dream last night. I believe dreams are messages from the spirits, from the angels, and what coincidence it was. Coincidences don't exist. What coincidence that, Mum came in at that exact time I was having that dream so that I'd wake up and remember that dream. Yeah.